I'm Deanna Amade, and this week on the Old Poke Show, Clint and I talk about that big win versus Texas A&M in the Texas Bowl. We also break down what's going on in the portal, and we talk about the college football playoff games. All that here on the Old Poke Show. Welcome to the Old Poke Show. This is the show where we talk to Cowboy legends from the past and the present and review the OSU program going into the future. And is the future bright here for the Oklahoma State Cowboys going into it, man. Clint, how's it going, my man?
You know, it's going well. Getting through the Christmas, time, New Year's Eve. It's just a whirlwind nowadays, and I'm sure yours is obviously the same way, but for different reasons. Lots of travel, lots of kids home because daycares are closed. So it's just
can't relate.
Yeah, it's something. It sure is something. Putting together a bunch of toys. That's always the fun joke is people buy, things with 10,000 parts, and I've got to put it together because my daughter's sitting there waiting. She's like, Dad, hurry. I'm just like, so it was exhausting, but it was great. I had a great Christmas, great New Year's Eve. I hope you had the same. I'm excited to hear about it because I know it's going to be, just an all-world story.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure right there, Clint. I mean, I know I have to kind of, hold up the Old Poke Show nightlife over here by myself, but I mean, it's still a lot of pressure. But I know, don't get me wrong though. We did have a time.
Okay, good.
Christmas was cool. It was chill. I mean, there's no like little kids in my family yet, so it's still kind of chill. Everybody just kicks it and hands out their gifts. It's not a big ordeal. Like Christmas are for the kids, man. And
are you guys big gift givers? Like, do you set a limit, or like you give one gift, like pick out somebody? Like we've done that. We've done, like the Dirty Santa style. We've done,
not really, man. We really don't do, big, like we definitely give mom and dad their gift and stuff. Like me and my brothers though, like we don't really exchange gifts. We all look at each other and like, bro, we're too grown for all that. There's no point. There's no hassle. Like we take care of each other during the year if somebody needs something or wants something, so we don't really exchange gifts during the holidays. When mom and dad gets a gift and they get all of us a gift and everything. So that's all fun. But I mean, it's just real chill. Like here, come to the house, eat, and then watch some football, and hey, here's a gift. Oh, appreciate it.
So what was New Year's Eve then like, since Christmas is kind of boring?
New Year's Eve is a little different.
Let the viewers in on something.
Man, so I went back to Dallas. We came back after the Christmas break to do the bowl game, and then I went back to Dallas, and some of my friends in Tulsa, we all hung out, and in Fort Worth, we were down in Funky Town. And, we went to a couple of spots down there and had a blast, man. There was, champagne and some bottles and, some live music and some beautiful people,
That sounds exhausting. Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine. I think I was asleep by 10:30 on New Year's Eve. It was great.
You were not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Goodness gracious, Clint.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't make it to midnight?
I haven't made it to midnight in maybe since college. No, it's probably been 4 or 5 years.
Get out of here.
New Year's Eve is the most overrated holiday of all time.
Not if you're doing it right.
If you're over the age of 30 with kids, it is. then that's what it becomes. It's like I got to wake up and watch two girls run around my house with Christmas presents tomorrow, so it's like, oof. Oh
man. I guess I had enough fun for the both of us. So that's
is that a hot take? I guess is New Year's Eve like one of your? Is that like you like that holiday? Is that like one of your? Is that a top 3 for you?
It's top 3. I'm not a big holiday person, but I would say New Year's Eve is top 3 for me for sure. Like I want to say it's like right after Thanksgiving for me, like it's New Year's Eve. Yeah.
You like it more than, let's say, St. Patrick's Day, another holiday predicated on just partying.
Yeah, because I think
partying more so, I guess, than night. But
I think St. Patrick's Day is like an all-day affair, and it always falls on a weekday or something like that, and so it's just like you leave work and then you're heading straight to the bars. It's just like it's weird. So I would say New Year's Eve for me is way better because it's just like it's an event.
Okay. Let me say, what about 4th of July? That's another one. Lots of day drinking. Typically have more time off. A lot of food, fireworks. You're usually
that's true.
Yeah, that's a that's a swimsuit situation. You're at a pool. I know guys like you that like are in the gym and stuff. That's probably a big deal for you.
Yeah, I mean 4th of July on the lake. Like that's
okay, yeah.
That's a good time. That's a really, really good time. And I would, if you're on the lake, I would give 4th of July the nod over New Year's Eve. But if it's just like, hot dogs and fireworks, then New Year's Eve is more of a big commercial event, and I feel like you have more fun on that day. But 4th of July on the lake, it gets the bump over New Year's Eve.
Okay, then the last one I've got would be Halloween, man. Halloween used to be a big time. I mean, in college, especially.
In college.
I don't know if you're still like going out on. I mean, because Halloween's always weird. It like falls on like a Tuesday, and you're like, do I trick or treat? Like for me, I'm like, do I take my kids trick or treating? What day are we supposed to go? For you, I don't know if it's like,
I mean, the weekend of Halloween and people going out and dressing up and stuff like that's cool and everything. But I've never been a big Halloween guy to begin with. So it's just another weekend. Now you're just seeing individuals with costumes. And I'm also not a big dress up guy myself. Never have been, probably never will be. Okay. I mean, to the family that I come around with later, and maybe they'll be able to talk me into wearing a simple costume.
So you're essentially just the Grinch across the board. You don't dress up. You don't like Christmas. You don't, I mean, holidays are just not it for you, huh?
I mean, like, it's another day. I mean, like maybe there's a couple of festivities, but I just don't get wrapped up in all that type of stuff, man. It's just another day.
You gotta enjoy the little things, man. Gotta enjoy the little things.
Maybe somebody will change my mind one of these days.
Hey, I hope so.
Maybe
future Mrs. Amade out there somewhere.
if she's listening, good luck. Good luck. But one of the teams that did not need luck during this holiday season was our Cowboys as they faced off against Texas A&M in the Texas Bowl on Wednesday, December 27th. Last year, I mean, it is 2024 now, Clint. So, I mean,
that's crazy. I'll be writing 23 on everything for the next at least 3 weeks. And just like having to mark it out. Like anytime I sign something, put the date on it at work, I'm just gonna be like, oh. Damn.
You get a month to get used to it. You get a month. But yeah, so the Cowboys did not need the month. They handled things pretty spectacularly. There was a questionable third quarter there that left us to be in a little bit of a unfamiliar place. But for the most part, they did a great job in that game and kind of took over. Clint, kind of like summarize your thoughts of the game. And kind of how do you feel the Cowboys handled that bowl game and that whole situation with Texas A&M?
I thought they did great for what you expect out of a bowl game like that. Obviously, what was made of it, right, was how many players A&M was going to sit out. Yeah. But when you look at it, and I watched it on tape and on the broadcast, it's like this is a team that still has, if you want to go off recruiting rankings, the guys they still have are probably still more highly rated than the guys we have playing, right? And so the only difference was a little bit of experience, which, you can make up some of that throughout the year if they got to play a little bit, and then you obviously get the extra practices to prepare for a bowl game. I felt bad. Jalen Henderson, first play of the game, shatters his elbow or whatever it was. So that kind of put a damper on it. You just hate in these extra games, you hate seeing, kids get hurt. First play of the game, that was unfortunate. But I think it was a game that the defense played very well. But I mean, the offensive numbers were just, they were insane. And I think that this team, the sky's the limit when you do things like, throw to Brennan Presley 16 times. Like, I've been beating on the drum all year, and I thought it was a game where the stars really showed out. Alan Bowman, 402 yards passing. Ollie Gordon, 118 rushing. And then the two receivers, obviously Rashad Owens stepping up. We saw him have the huge Bedlam game. He's had some big catches down the stretch for this team. And then, win an MVP, 10 for 160, 164 and 2 touchdowns, which I was very happy to see because we've talked about it. You can chime in on this, how much we've talked about it on the show is how bad this team was at throwing fade balls. And then he gets the one in the corner, high points it, makes a great play. I thought schematically, I thought they did what we kind of expected. It was a fun game. The play that I keep going back to, I keep watching it, is like the fake jet sweep, and then we ran like a counter, like pitched it to Presley and ran like a counter. I thought that play was awesome. That is a very creative way to get him involved, to get misdirection. That play was awesome. I like the little wrinkle bringing in Gundy. I'll be interested to see, if they want to incorporate a little bit more in the red zone with a running quarterback. I think that's something that would really help this team out. I think, go ahead.
The question is, though, is who's going to be that running quarterback in that red zone situation with Gundy entering the transfer portal. And then if, there's no telling if we'll have that weapon again next year.
Yeah, and I would think that if he doesn't like what's out there and they kind of pitch to him, hey, you could be the red zone rushing quarterback guy. Maybe he comes back. I have no idea if they'll use him or somebody else, but I think that really opens up this offense, having a guy back there that can take one of those guys out of the box with him. And you think about it from that perspective, if there's one less guy for Ollie Gordon to have to worry about, that it makes him even more dynamic. And this team we saw struggle a little bit in the red zone at times throughout the season. So I think that's a good wrinkle. Obviously would have liked to see it, a little bit more throughout the year, even though I'm not a big 2 quarterback kind of guy. I think there is a time and place for having a quarterback that can run the ball when you have a dynamic guy like Ollie Gordon. So that was my offensive recap. I thought it was all really, really, well done from the staff down. The 2 picks were not obviously ideal, but yeah, I thought it was good. What were your thoughts on the special teams and defense?
Yeah, I mean, on the other side, it just looked like they were fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of get that aspect from bowl games where, people who are banged up get healed up and the legs are a little fresher, especially if they practice properly instead of, wearing these guys down, especially if they use the young guys to get in there and get some reps and get some experience. So I thought this defense looked a lot fresher, a lot faster on their feet, especially guys like Kendall Daniels. And
he looks good, man.
He looked good. He looked good. He looked fast. He looked like he was moving downhill aggressively, and I like to see stuff like that. So there was still an element where they were, like you said, they were coming into the game expecting to face one quarterback, and then quarterback gets hurt first play of the game, and they have to resort to what they've been looking at all season long, and that's working on the fly and adapting and making in-game halftime adjustments to what the defensive strategy was going into the game. So that Coach Gundy talked about in the post game, that was like the worst thing that could have happened for this defense was preparing a month for one type of deal, especially in A&M situation. Didn't really know what you're going to be expecting, but kind of had an idea of who was going to be the guy. And then you look and you're facing some freshman who's got dual threat ability that can really take the top off of the defense with his legs. And so the defense handled it well. They did a good job. I mean, again, we expected A&M to come in there and want to rush the football, want to dominate the running game, and that's exactly what they tried to do in different aspects. But good job to Oklahoma State for if you're not letting that happen too much in this game, and which led to the win.
Yeah, I mean the rushing defense was fantastic. Would have liked to see it, the Achilles heel for this team, the pass defense that's been there all year, a little bit better. We kind of knew going in that they were going to try to attempt to run a little bit more 4 down, right? Instead of that 3 down front. What did you take away from that, if anything, and what do you think that means, moving forward?
I mean, I think it helped with the run fits a little bit more. And I think it helped with not having to take on so many double teams and winning the line of scrimmage. I mean, you didn't see those guys get, too much, forward penetration because it was more of a stalemate at that line. Instead of 3 guys facing 5, it was like 4 guys. So I think it was it allowed our defense to be more physical at the point of attack and at the line. Knowing that it was going to be primarily a rushing football game, I thought it was a good adjustment. It's going to be interesting to see how much more of that 4 down we would see next year compared to, you know, that 3-3-5 that they were really implementing on a majority of the season.
Yeah, you know, I like seeing Colin Oliver lined up at defensive end. He's been a fantastic linebacker, but something about when he gets to pin his ears back and rush the passer just looks awesome. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can mix those two schemes up as much. You know, you kind of got to have the principles and the discipline of you know, 3 down, 4 down. But you know, it's a nice change of pace for sure. And I think Coach Gundy was obviously a little fed up after watching Texas dominate the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So that probably led to a little bit of it. And you know, I thought you got some positive results out of it. So Nick Martin, as always, I mean, a tackling machine, a dog. Yeah. All over the field. It's come to, you know, kind of what you can expect out of him. But yeah, it was a great bowl win, 31-23.
I can't remember what the stat was, but I know for a fact I think he was 3rd or something close in like single season tackling record or something like that. I gotta look that up, and I'm sure everybody else can look it up as well. But I think because his numbers were so high, and like you said, a tackling machine, I think he came close to a couple of Oklahoma State records there with his ability to put the ball carrier on the ground. So that's something to, you know, to be proud of. And so kudos to him, man, because he had a phenomenal season.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to next and ask you about is, like, you know, overall, the overarching, you know, points of this season. We've talked about it weekly, but to put a bow on this season, maybe just give, like, what do you think was kind of a spot that kind of showed out for you that maybe was under the radar coming into this year? Maybe it's a player, maybe it's a position group that you were really surprised by that kind of dictated a lot of why this season was so successful.
I mean, we kind of have to go to what we were just talking about. That linebacker group was impressive, and mainly because of Nick Martin and his ability to run sideline to sideline and his ability to instinctually get the football. When we lost Mason Cobbs last year to USC, I was concerned. I was deeply concerned because he was a very, very big bright spot on that defense, and then Nick Martin comes in and kind of overshadows that. So that was a group that I thought really stood up and stood out. The secondary, man, they had some weak spots, and they had some unfortunate stuff go down back there, but all those young guys playing major minutes and evolving and growing as the season went along, that's something that you have to be proud of. And that's something that you have to look at, seeing that, man, this is going to be good for the future. I mean, we were saying that game 5 where, you know, we were forced to play some very young individuals in that back end. We're like, man, we're going through these bumps and bruises right now. But in the next couple of years, because of this experience, because these guys, you know, being out here, they're going to evolve into something that, you can't be mad at. So hopefully that trend continues, and those guys continue to get better and continue to work, and we could see something like maybe what was not the brightest spot on our defense be evolved to one of these strengths.
I think it reminds me of, did you ever see the movie Friday Night Lights? I'm sure you did. It came out.
Everybody. Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember, but at the end of that movie, it says, you know, like the following year, Mojo went on to win the state championship. And I remember sitting in the theater and somebody stood up when we were walking. I was like, well, why didn't they show us that year? And so I'm hoping that that's kind of like with those secondaries, that, you know, they get better. They got some experience this year. And then this next year is kind of the year that we put it all together. But I think you're exactly right about the linebackers. You know, you go from Malcolm Rodriguez, right? Replacement Mason Cobbs has a really, really pretty solid year last year. Then he leaves. You know, then you get Justin Wright to transfer in. You know, Nick Martin's kind of in the mix with him. Justin Wright gets hurt. And Nick Martin just becomes a tackling machine, and really was the heart and soul of this defense. Really, like you said, I mean, 100. If you would have asked me like last week, I think I remember what the tackles was, like 130, 40 something, whatever. But yeah, I mean, that was just an incredible season by him. On the offensive side, for me, it's tough to get away from Ollie Gordon. I think Rashad Owens stepping up was really something that this team needed. Obviously, with the injuries, Leon Johnson, who I will forever shout out for what he sacrificed for this team, stepping up when they needed him, when it probably wasn't in his best interest, more of a selfless move by him.
Yeah.
So he will forever be a guy that I mentioned when I think of this team, but. It's hard to get away from Ollie Gordon. And going into this year, I think we thought he would be good, but I don't know if anybody thought he'd be consensus All-American, lead the nation in rushing, Doak Walker good, right? And part of that has to go with the offensive line. There was question marks up there. So, it's easy to sit up here and say, Ollie Gordon's the best now, but going into the year, I'm not sure that everybody thought what that ceiling could be. And so I think for me, that's kind of the bright spot on the offensive side where it's
speaking of Friday Night Lights, it's like instead when Boobie Miles, went down, didn't nobody Waterbug was about to come in and steal the show. And I'm telling you right now, Ollie Gordon did turn it. I mean, as much as he runs like Boobie, he had the season of Waterbug where he comes into effect and takes up the offense.
Yeah. So it's hard, this team, I think resilience is probably the word that describes this team the most.
Yeah.
They fought through a ton of adversity, self-inflicted at some points, but made it to the conference championship game, made a bowl game, won the bowl game, got to 10 wins. When a lot of people counted them out early, counted them out a little bit before the season nationally, I think, with all the people that left last year. So all in all, one of the more fun seasons I can remember, just being able to sit back and root for a lot of these guys, Alan Bowman being one. So, yeah, I think this was enough superlatives probably, but fantastic.
Speaking of that, you mentioned that 10-win season, and we talked about it an episode ago, how big 10 wins is in college football. And I mean, me and you were a part of a good amount of 10-win season teams, 10-win plus seasons, and how hard it is to accomplish that. And man, kudos to this team to getting to that number, because it kind of puts you in that talk of the good, the best, some of the good OSU teams in this storied history.
Yeah, I mean, 10 wins is maybe not like an actual counting stat, but I mean, getting to that double-digit wins is super impressive. And, a bit of like a Kobe Bryant and Smush Parker situation when they scored 94 points and Kobe scored 81 of them. It's like those 10-win seasons. Yeah, Brandon was starting at quarterback, but, I was on the team, though, so I still got to count those. Did
you just call yourself Smush Parker?
I wish, man. That guy probably made a lot of money playing.
Yeah, probably still making a lot more money reffing too.
Yeah, but it's a great accomplishment. It's nothing to throw to the wayside for a team. I keep going back to where they started and where we thought we were headed after 3 weeks. So that run they made was one of the all-time, my favorite, runs to watch since I've got done playing. Beating Kansas State, winning Bedlam, just reeling off those wins, Ollie going nuts, and excited to run it back largely with the same group.
Yeah, I mean, 8 10-win seasons in the last 19 years for this program. The other 3, I mean, I guess we've had 11 in school history. And I mean, the other 3 were in 84, 87, and 88. I mean, we all know the pretty influential players on those teams who kind of helped to get to those, 10 plus victories. So getting that number and that margin is again nothing to throw to the wayside. But the thing that's pretty impressive, Coach Gundy, being a part of 10 of those 11, 10 plus 10 win seasons. So I mean, he's two as a player and 8 as a coach. So I mean,
maybe that's the real Kobe Smush Parker situation with Barry Sanders.
Something like it, man. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be something in that little.
I'll workshop that one. Yeah, I'll workshop that one.
But keep working on it. Keep working on it. But yeah, man, 10 wins for this team is very impressive, especially like what you're saying, from where we started to where we were and to how things ended, man. And like, if you would have told me in like late September this was going to be a 10-win team, I would have been like, get out of I probably would have been like wanted to fight you. Like, stop. Like, you're just playing with my emotions just for funs and games. Like, get out of here.
I would have had to change my address for the amount of people I told to take over 6.5 wins. They would have all just come for me. It was like, it's like they're just, oh man. I would have had to move out of state.
On that bet.
Yeah, they're happy now.
Yeah, they are
happy. Do you want to just go ahead and go straight to the portal, kind of recapping this season, and then look ahead, and then we can talk about the semifinal game? Or what you tell me?
I definitely want to talk about those semifinal games because this is, college football. We do talk college football on this podcast. So I definitely want to talk about that and touch on it because college football season is not over yet. But before that, I mean, there are portal news that we should kind of like talk about and people want to hear about. So what do you have from that standpoint? What do you kind of really want to touch on?
The two most recent ones, Colin Clay, I think is a great piece to be coming back along that defensive line. We've talked about the offensive line, Isaiah Glass, Kobe Hilton. We've talked about those guys. DJ McKinney is the most recent one, and that's one that that one kind of stings a little bit.
Yeah,
he's a guy that I thought, back to that Friday Night Lights reference, got his feet wet a little bit. I thought, could definitely grow into something. And then to lose him, I thought he was a nice player. He could really develop into a really good, secondary player. So that one hurts a little bit. Along with, Jaden Bray, those are two very similar guys to me on the opposite, different sides of the ball, but potential guys that flashed a little bit, got some experience this year. So kind of developing them and then losing them is never fun.
I feel like the loss of Jaden Bray hurts more because of where he ended up. And correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like he's going to be headed to West Virginia.
Yeah.
And for him to land still in the Big 12 conference is leaves me a little salty. But I mean, at first I really expected a lot from Jaden Bray at the beginning of the season. Injuries kind of, hindered his performance and his abilities to perform throughout the season. But I was like, still, guy with a lot of talent, a lot of room to grow. Was just hoping to see that here in Stillwater. But now that we're gonna have to watch it and witness it at West Virginia, if it does come into fruition, and I hope him the best. But dang, man, why West Virginia? Like that one didn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He is a guy that we could look up and have a few big 100-yard games, and just kind of need a change of scenery and kind of develop a little bit more because he's a very talented guy. So yeah, I'm with you. That one hurts, especially like you said, landed in the Big 12 at West Virginia. It's not ideal, but
knock to West Virginia. No knock to West Virginia.
No.
But why West Virginia?
Are they throwing around bags like that?
I don't know.
What do you even got a bag? I don't know. It seems like Missouri's the one that's throwing around the bag to everybody. I don't know what's going on there. Somebody needs to check that out.
Yeah.
The old poke show is going to turn into an investigative unit and go up there and get to the bottom of that.
Where's this money coming from?
But yeah, DJ McKinney. Were you a little shocked to see that at all, or
I was really shocked.
What were your thoughts on it?
I was really shocked to see that one. Because those defensive back ones really come out of nowhere for me. Like it was, who was number 24 defensive back, played corner that ended up going to LSU like 2 years ago. I'm blanking on his name.
He had the hyphenate name.
Yeah. Dang,
this is bad. Yeah,
this is bothering me.
Just keep talking. I'll figure it out.
So 24 2 years ago ends up he was good. Like me and him were like literally recording something with OSU Max and breaking down film and Jarek Bernard Converse.
Converse,
yes. Yep. Oh man, thank you. So he and me and him were like breaking down film, doing some stuff for OSU Max and everything. Then a week later, I hear, sorry, where Jason hits me and is like, we're not going to be able to air that one. I'm like, what are you talking about? That was great. That was good. Yeah, he just transferred to LSU. Oh, yeah, we probably shouldn't air that. And it would just like happen randomly. I feel like these defensive backs, I mean, Jabbar Muhammad, a guy who's, playing for Washington right now and, starting for Washington, having a big effect. He, randomly transfers the last year. I mean, Thomas Harper, he ups and goes to Notre Dame randomly last year. I mean, these defensive backs, I don't know why it always
can't trust them, bro.
Hey, I don't know why it always catches me off guard, but I'm just like, wait, what a minute. They're going where? So DJ McKinney, again, I would have considered him our third best cover guy, third best corner for this Cowboys team, and for him to kind of enter the portal, that again shocked me considerably. That's going to be interesting to find out where he ends up going if he does end up leaving. But man, that one caught me off guard, Clint.
Yeah, so we will be updating hopefully the incoming list a little bit. Obviously, we've got a lot of guys staying. A few depth pieces would be nice here and there if you guys compete for some spots, especially even more so, obviously, along that secondary now. But I mean, all in all, I think I've got a much better taste in my mouth this year than I did a year ago at this point, right? So that's always a positive.
That truly is a positive. I mean, we could be like last year, we were pulling our hair out. We were pulling our hair out and we just hadn't grasped this whole transfer portal thing. And I think this year we've been able to, figure out what it's about and be able to retain some of our good players a little bit more than we did last year.
It's amazing what money will do.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah. All right, man, let's get to this. You want to talk Alabama, Michigan first? You got something else?
Let's definitely go in order of how it went on New Year's Day, and let's start with Michigan, Alabama. Well, I'm sure you watched it. I'm sure you have your thoughts. So go ahead and share with us. Like, what was your kind of thought of the game?
Well, my official prediction for the two games were that Michigan and Washington would win. I have them on a text thread with timestamp, so I can back that up. So I will give myself a little credit there. I felt like both games, and this is one of the first years that I felt like these semifinal matchups were both going to be somewhat close. It seems like every year there's just an absolute blowout for one of them, at least. And the more that I looked at it, the more I felt like, and this is almost like sacrilegious to say, but Michigan could bully Alabama in the trenches.
Yeah.
You just looked at that offensive line and the defensive line ended up being the same.
They had 5 sacks in the first half.
So as I got to looking at it more, you look at it, the offensive line for Michigan, I thought was going to be the difference maker on that side. I'm not the biggest JJ McCarthy guy. I think he's good. But Blake Corum is a stud. Donovan Edwards is a stud. And on the defensive side of the ball, the thing I was concerned about when you get in these just these games like this, these big high pressure moment games, every possession is so important and every play is so important. And when you have a guy like Jalen Milroe that can use his legs and continue to churn out first downs with his legs, it's so deflating for a defense. But I looked at that Michigan team and they're physical and they've got speed. They've got some dudes back there. So
yeah, they do.
That was the reason that I ended up picking them. Both teams, all 4 teams, I don't think practice special teams not even once during this whole break. I'm like, you've got to be pulling your hair out,
bro. You got to give it to the coaching staff on that from that standpoint. correct me if I'm wrong, okay? And you guys can hit me up on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling that thing nowadays. But why, in a situation which is probably the biggest punt return of the season, do you put somebody in the game to catch the punt who hasn't been doing that all game long? That kid came out and I felt bad for that number 26. I was like, bro, why did they put you in there? First of all, he hadn't caught a punt all game. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And then on top of that, he had a big nerve-wracking situation, and all he's thinking about is catch this ball, catch this ball, catch this ball. And he didn't think about where he was on the field, what he was doing on the field, and he tries to catch it on the 5-yard line. At that point, bruh, let it go. Like if I'm in that situation, I'm just like, oh, thank God. I'm heels on the. This is what they teach you: heels on the 10, don't back up. He should have put his heels on that 10 as soon as that ball went over his head. Let it go. But he tries to catch it and he fumbles it, and luckily, he gets it outside the end zone. But there was and it changed the whole dynamic of that, because you're thinking, oh, Michigan has an opportunity to like put this one in position to kick a field goal and win this thing. And they were like, no, let's just get this the hell out of the end zone and go into overtime. It drastically changed the game. And from that standpoint, you cannot put somebody in the game who hasn't been catching punts in that crucial situation. They set him up for failure, Clint. Failure.
You could pretty much tell what they tried. They tried to galaxy brain it and put the gym rat, the hard working, sure-handed guy out there. If you get what I'm saying,
he probably played in high school. He probably played baseball in high school.
They're like, oh, this guy will never drop a punt in this situation. He must have watched that Chiefs game. Did you see the Chiefs game? Richie James for the Chiefs the day before caught a punt. I've never seen it before in my life in the end zone. He backed up so far, he caught it in the end zone. I've never seen it, not even in practice. Yes, it was. I just special teams blunders. I mean, I feel like Michigan could have won that game by 10 points. I thought they were. I just thought they were the more physical team. They had a ton of mistakes. Their special teams were horrible.
You got to give it to Reese though, the offensive coordinator for Alabama, because you knew the second half they were going to make some adjustments and kind of be able to compete. I mean, I felt like Michigan left some points on that table in the first half. Like for them to be dominating that game and only be up by 3 was a big,
red flag.
You're gonna let these guys come back in here. And you saw they were just finding ways to get the ball out of Milroe's hands very quickly, so he didn't have to sit back there and hold on to it. And they told him, bro, if one's not there, give 2 a quick look, and if it's not there, take off with your feet. And it worked.
Yeah, that dude is fast, man. When he hits the hole, that guy can run. But yeah, just not your prototypical Alabama team. The offensive line was pretty mid. The center was, I mean, that guy had a horrible game. And then just not having those those receivers we're used to seeing, the Devontae Smiths, the Jalen Waddles, the Jerry Judys, the list goes on and on. It just didn't seem like that.
I think the transfer portal did hit Alabama as well, because you were hearing a lot of freshmen this and freshmen that. They were playing a lot of young guys on that team. One of the questions I really wanted to ask you, and this is maybe like a football nerd type thing to ask, but does it look awkward the way Jalen Milroe holds the football to you as a quarterback?
Yeah.
What's going on there? What is he holding the middle of the football?
He does. He must have, I don't know if he has gigantic hands or what, but it does look, and it looks like his hand when he and Justin Herbert's kind of one of these guys, and he can absolutely spin the heck out of the ball. But the way he throws the ball and holds it, it just it's so unconventional for what I'm used to and what I was taught, and holding the ball and everything. And guys are just such better athletes than I ever was. I think they're just more comfortable, just holding the ball however they want. But yeah, I agree with you. There's something weird there.
So is that what you think it is? You think his hands are just that big where he has to hold the middle of the ball instead of the back of it like quarterbacks normally do?
I don't know, man. I wish I knew. You're right, though. I'm glad you brought that up.
It looks so awkward, bro. It's just what are we watching here right now?
Yeah.
But that ball goes so far when he throws it, though.
He can wing it, man. Yeah, he can throw it. So Michigan ends up in overtime winning 27-20. The other semifinal game, Washington defeated the Texas Longhorns 37-31. They had a chance to win it at the end that I missed because I was so anxious to go to sleep. I was like, after the onside kick, I was like, all right, this is over. I'm going to sleep. But what were your thoughts on the Texas-Washington game before we get to the finals?
Let me introduce you, Texas defensive coordinator, to a coverage I like to call cover 2 defense. Okay, this you take 2 safeties, you stick them like 15 yards deep, and you tell those dudes to backpedal, and don't let nobody get behind you. That's what I thought of the Texas defensive performance, because, bro, you were coming into the game knowing that your secondary was not good enough to hang with this passing attack.
You mean 430 yards passing isn't great for defense?
For you to be running man-to-man defense, I know you've done it all season long, but bruh, this is for championships. We're playing for championships here. To continuously put your defensive backs in that situation, I just don't understand it, Doug. I just don't understand it. And I do understand that, like, it helps the running game and you put your front in a better situation, but you had the defensive line to hold up front. I mean, those big boys were not budging with Washington, and you had the linebackers to run sideline to sideline. You just continue to put your defensive secondary in unfavorable situations for their skill level. And the one thing you had to do was don't let this team get off to a good start, throwing the ball deep, getting that momentum going and getting them inspired. And what did you do? You just let Penix just drop those dimes over your defensive back's head. I don't understand what
they
was
were
going
pretty
on.
too.
Oh, man, they were so beautiful. So beautiful.
I saw this on Twitter, and I typically stay away from, I'm glad I said the Chiefs earlier. The wide receiver room for Washington better than the Chiefs wide receiver room. And I don't know that's a crazy take.
It's not. It's because
Aduze, Polk,
Kelsey's in the tight ends room. He's not in the wide receiver room.
I mean, I'm just like, and so you think about that, and Texas knowing their weakness, they had that long to self-scout to do all these things, and they just repeatedly get cooked out there. And I was like, bro. Yeah, they held up, 131 attempts, 102 yards rushing. Dylan Johnson has been great. He did have the 2 touchdowns. Got hurt there at the end, but a much more fun game to watch than the other one. Texas, they could have laid down a few different times, and they kept fighting back and had a chance to win it at the end. A.D. Mitchell, did you see that catch in the end zone, that fade? It looked like he jumped 15 seconds too early. I thought he jumped before the ball even
it was
hit.
So awkward.
And he still made the catch. Very impressive.
Got that thing down. And which was the reason why Quinn Ewers was going to him in the corner of the end zone again, because he had proven that he could. I don't know how healthy Worthy was. He didn't get a lot of touches. He didn't get targeted a bunch. You could tell after the game he was disappointed because he was just sitting in the back of the end zone. It's like, it just seemed like a guy who didn't get too much of an opportunity in this game. But Mitchell was the guy who made a play, and Quinn Ewers was trying to go. And if that ball is it's a game of inches. If that ball is just a little lower, he puts it in a place where he can protect himself and the ball away from that DB who was on his back. And I think, bro, and here's the thing. I went into that game wanting Texas to win. Selfishly, I wanted all that Big 12 money to come to the Big 12, and I don't mind Texas, getting theirs. I wanted all that money for the Big 12. But also, if they would have won that game in that way, I would have been a little salty for Washington, because they were clearly the best team on that field.
Yeah.
They were clearly the best team on that field. But
agreed. It came down to those, the two fumbles. That one fumble that somehow on the field they thought he was down, and he was standing straight up and down without the ball. I'm like, what are we watching here? Like, are we really going to do this with these umpires? But it really came down to those 2 fumbles. I felt like that one specifically, they had momentum. They were moving the ball down the field.
Turnovers cost you.
Yeah, you look at a 6-point game, that's pretty easy to point to. But, a really, really fun, styles make fights, right? In Washington, Michigan, you talk about two styles that are largely different. I mean, Michigan's going to try to bully you, win in the trenches, run the ball with quorum. Washington is going to just throw it all over the place down the field. So, what are your thoughts on? Let's go. What are your thoughts on that game? And who do you think is going to win? You got any predictions?
Bro, here's the thing, and it's a big controversy in my head right now because defense wins championships. Defense wins championships, and I think Michigan's defense is better. But, and I don't want to put this on individual players, but if you're asking me in a pressure situation, gun to my head, a Penix team versus what's his name, McCarthy?
JJ McCarthy, yeah.
For a McCarthy team versus a Penix team, bro, give me Penix all day, every day, and twice on Sundays, because he's definitely gonna be a player in the league, and he has the leadership, has this team on the right path. Did you hear about the players only meeting that went down? They're about business right now, and they that dude with the purple do-rag is not messing around, bro.
And those receivers are studs, man. I know Michigan's got some guys back there, but the way they're scheming up these downfield shots is super impressive.
McCarthy, again, sorry to knock him, but he's just so inaccurate and so inconsistent with it. And I just don't know if he'll show up for that big game.
He just doesn't do it for me. He's just kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the offense they're in, and it's obviously predicated on getting Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards 40 touches. But just not. He makes some nice plays, but the more dynamic players, obviously Penix.
They're going to try to make it a boring game, bro. They're going to try to slow that thing down and keep them on the sideline.
I did see Penix 2 years ago, obviously when he was at Indiana, the last time he played Michigan, they were 4-point dogs, and they ended up winning 38-23 or something at Indiana. Really? They beat Michigan.
Wow.
So there is a little bit of familiarity there, obviously, played at the Big Ten. But what do you think before we get out of here? Let's do you want to do a score prediction?
Yeah, man. Again, like I said, different defense wins championships, but Penix is taking that thing home, dog. I'm telling you, Penix is taking that thing home, and I'll go ahead and give me 31-24 Washington.
Okay, I had 35-28 in my head.
Yeah.
So okay. I'll say Washington wins by a touchdown.
Okay. All right.
Michigan has a chance to go win it. Our guy McCarthy just can't quite do it. They got to get away from the running game. Going to be tough to get 35 points on that defense, but if there's a team that can do it, it's that guy with those receivers.
Bro, if they don't practice their special teams, that margin of victory is going to be way larger than anything that we just predicted. They better get to work.
It's so bad. Man, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nah, man. I think we kind of covered it all. We kind of as far as college football goes. Again, congratulations to the 2023-24 Cowboys. A season to remember. You guys brought us joy. There was ups, there was downs, and there was a lot of fun had in between. But we truly appreciate all those boys and the staff and the program all together, man. They did a good job, and it was a joy to watch and be a part of, man. It was a joy.
Well said. Also, thank you to all of our listeners. We took a little break for the holidays. I hope you guys all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We appreciate you guys tuning in and following this journey with us as we get to talk a little bit about these Cowboy games. And obviously some weeks are a lot more fun than the others, but we really appreciate you guys listening to us, and hope you guys will continue to do so.
Well, yeah, we still got more OSU sports still underway, so we'll be breaking down so much other things other than football, since that season's over, and also still portal talk and different things coming still unfolding, so we'll be talking and giving you information about all that. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do it over here. Make sure you tune in to everything on OSU Max, and remember, continue to check us out here on the Old Poke Shed. I'm Deon Amade, that's Clint Shelf, and stay loyal and true.
Go Pokes.